Alright guys, this is Silver Age Dave. I am in Chicago. I found a store. This is like the Motherlode store, One Stop Comics. It's basically this, half of this whole building. It's pretty deep. I'm going to show you from the side what's going on here. It's a pretty deep building, and Rick is the owner. He just gave me a tour of the whole inside, and it is incredible. It's just crazy. So we're going to get a tour tomorrow, and I'll showcase the rest of what's going on here. But just incredible. Spinner rack sitting outside. Just a really cool place. So this will be exciting. We're coming back tomorrow, and I'll show you guys the inside look. All right, YouTube, so now you see it. That's store number 3. That's store number 2. I'm trying this one on my iPad, so I hope it's not shaky. This is store number 1. We're at One Stop Comics here in Oak Park, Illinois. Rick is the owner. He's been at it forever, and he's going to give us a little guided tour. So as we walk in, you know, I pointed out the rack here. Just a beautiful ambiance for a store. So we're coming in. This is Rick. He's the owner.
Hey Dave, how you doing today?
Rick, the place is awesome. I really appreciate you walking us through. Rick, tell us again the story. When you were 9 years old, how many comics did you have?
Oh, I had over 8,000 comics when I was 9. See, my uncle was an artist.
Uh-huh.
On Thanksgiving, at halftime, we sang Happy Birthday to my cousins. A couple of them that had the birthday around then, and my aunt couldn't find me. She walked into my uncle's art studio and found me in the corner. And started screaming and yelling, "You kids aren't supposed to be in here. I caught your cousin here last week. You are so rotten." And she picked me up and shook me, and I started crying. And she's saying in my hand, I had Metal Men comic book. And she goes, "Oh my God." When I left, she gave me a whole shopping bag of his books.
Wow.
And I fell in love with them.
Wow.
Then when I got a flat tire driving down the street, the old man that was a garbage picker in the neighborhood said he'd fix my bike. So I flipped it over in the alley so he could fix it. And when he opened his garage, you see my eyes light up because he had a wall full of comics.
OMG.
And he said, "Do you want?" He goes, "Do you want them?" And I said, he goes, "How would you get them home?" I said, "My grandfather gave me a wagon. He used to work at Radio Flyer where they made the wagons. I had the one with the big wooden side. So I got that wagon, ran home, filled it up, brought it in my yard, dumped it in the middle of the yard, even though I had a German Shepherd that was running around all over the place. I didn't care." Wow. And I ran back. And he said, "When you want more," he goes, "You want more? Just take more." And I filled up the wagon. I almost had it full, a full second time. And he says, "I think that's enough. Those will take you a while to read."
Oh my gosh.
And,
what a
and
story.
they were all Golden Age comics.
Wow.
So,
now, I got to ask, obviously you're in the business. Do you have any of those original issues in a box somewhere?
I sold 8,000 comics in 7th grade for 10 cents a piece.
Wow.
What? And I think I had an Action Comics #1, but I could have had one of the reprints of the story.
Man.
But because I was so young, I didn't know nothing about condition or anything else. I just loved comics.
Oh my goodness.
And even to this day, even though condition's very important in the comic book field, some of my most prized comic books do not even have covers. I just remember I got my Spider-Man #1 out of a garage sale when I was like 14 years old. And it had no cover.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more important than the 5.0 one I just sold at C2E2 last week.
And that, what a story. Guys, how often does Silver talk about his coverless comics, right? The mark of a true collector, passionate.
I tell people, buy things because you love them and because you like them. If you buy things because you like them, you'll never lose in the comic book field.
Yeah, no
if you
kidding.
buy things for investment, you never know. We've seen what happened to cards, and we've seen what happened to some other industries through the years. But comics, with all the movies and all the global attention now, people all over the world are starting to enjoy American comics. But they don't have them in their attics and basements. They're all right here. So I think the long growth for comic books to stay desirable is there.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad that I'm selling comic books for a living.
Oh my goodness. Guys, and what's so funny is when Rick says they're all here, I think he means it, that they're actually right here in the store. Wait till you guys see this
Right
place.
here, take a look around the store.
We're going to do a tour.
What we got.
So this is an area, I'll let Rick tell, but this is a lot of the new stuff in this original first part of the store. We talked about that a little bit. Rick, what do you have to show us?
Well, here's the secret. When people look this way, they see the wall with a bunch of recent comics, and they see the statues up on top. But what they don't see is in this little space behind the counter, there's a massive amount of comic book product. And Bud hiding.
I'm gonna try to sneak in here, Bud.
Okay.
All right, guys. And so, Rick, I gotta ask, of course these are all empty boxes stacked this high, yes?
No way.
No way.
We can't fit any more books in these. They're as packed as you can get. These are in exact alphabetical order. Silver Age, Golden Age, doesn't matter. I like to keep everything in exact alphabetical order, which means it's a 24/7, every day of the week. Every day of the week, the same thing. Here's the old Wally Wood Thunder Agents, nice run of those. But obviously, I cannot keep the amount of books I have in one alphabet. So what we do is we make alphabets, and once they're 300 boxes long, we make another alphabet.
So Rick, I have to ask you, this space, now you took me through here yesterday, and I couldn't help but look up, because there is a lean. These books are working, the boxes are working towards each other. Do you ever walk through here and worry like, oh no, I think it's going to topple?
Only in my dreams. Nightmares, I should say. I've had nightmares of being trapped by the comics, but since we're constantly adding stuff and they're rotating, and currently we picked up another warehouse and we're going to be knocking some of this space down a little bit. But some of them on this side are still to be processed. This whole side is exact alphabetical order, but this isn't the main alphabet. This is just one of the many alphabets we have. So follow me, I'll show you some more books.
All right, guys, look at that incredible. Can you even imagine how awesome? All right, here we go. We're following Rick. Okay. These are on this side. It's a lot of the independent items. And
we have four racks with all the independent comics for the last 8 months. And then our Marvel, our DC, and our Dark Horse get their own alphabet. And the Image we keep separate because the Image has been a very hot commodity lately. Everyone's trying to... We're getting a newer demographic with the Image comics because we're getting many more females into the comic market, which I think is
interesting.
A great plus.
Yeah.
I even noticed at the conventions lately, a lot more sales in graphic novels to females. Females seem like they're buying them to read them. They're not buying them to collect them.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a combination market. We got collectors, we got investors, we got accumulators, and we got readers. And I'm all the above.
There you go. Oh, that's a great way to be. And as happened, I think in a lot of stores, Rick just sponsored a big free comic book day. This place was packed to the gills, and you know, why wouldn't it be? What an awesome store and a great LCS owner, frankly.
This rack is to block off the back room, which is only open on occasion. If you follow me back here, I'll show you one of my prize and joys. What I'm very impressed with is throughout the years I've collected a lot of books about comics. The comics, the complete collection, Tembeck Archives, the DC Encyclopedia, a lot of the EC books. You got Graphic Inc. You got your Kelly Jones, obviously you got one of the classics, Kirby by Mark Evanier. This is a great book. If you don't have one, it's something to put on your list. There's some early Crazy Cat. And so we have a large selection of these, which I've accumulated over the years. And then I don't want to put comics in the light, so we have the Xerox copies of a lot of the quality Silver Age comics and a few Golden Age mixed in. And this is good because people like to not only look at them, but they say, "Oh, I got that one at home." And then I say, "Well, bring it in, you get some money."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's great when people find something in their attic or basement and find out that they have a lot of money worth of books.
So I have to ask, you mentioned EC a few moments ago, and that seems to be such a hot area right now of growth. Do you have an EC area, or do you have old, or do you not see those too often?
Yeah, no, I have a nice selection of ECs. Hard to get them in high grade.
Sure.
The paper pulp they use on the EC comics discolored much quicker than other comics made at the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
So right here, as you notice, like here it says Incredible Hulk 39 to 53. That's on a newer run. John Carter 2 to Kazar 4. Well, this is a one of each Marvel alphabet. Okay, here's some of your Jungle Action with Black Panthers. Obviously, these are getting a lot more demand these days. Obviously, the amount of books we have, I can't go through and reprice 500,000 comics, so we don't. So these are the Marvels. This is all of our variants. We have over 150 boxes of just variant covers.
Alex Comic Quarter, I think you would like to be here right now, right? Am I wrong? What a place.
Okay. And then on this side, this is the end of our Marvel alphabet. Goes up here on top. And then these are all the Marvel Premiere graphic novels. We have a nice selection of them. And the Marvel Premiere graphic novels, we have it 30% off, like on a never-ending basis. And it's a great way to pick up stories and just read them. But as you follow me over here, you'll notice that the store ends, but we made a hole in the wall. And we ended up renting the store next door. And when you come in here, you will see that we have some back issues in here as well.
Some back issues.
Some back.
Guys, I'm trying to move slow so the thing doesn't blur up. But I'll tell you what, honestly, right now, the hardest thing for me is to move slow. And I saw all of this yesterday. I mean, can you even imagine? And Rick, you said that normally this part of the store, even the building next door to us now, it's frequently not open, right?
Correct. People, we do things by request. People ask us for stuff. I come back here. I pull stuff out.
Yeah.
Typical example. Here's some nice World's Finest comics. Sometimes people laugh about me using these top loads because these top loads are
they're pricey.
Are expensive and not really considered archivial. But if you bag and board them in My Light, or rebag your bags and boards every 5 or 6 years, you'll be okay. But the good thing is your books can't get bent. A lot of times if you have a little space in a box or starts near the end, you start getting this waviness or cracking on the spines, and I don't want to see that happen. And as you notice, by keeping the books cool, dry, and dark and not letting people have access to them, our whites stay really white. The yellows and the colors are just vibrant, just pop out at you. A lot of these guys that go to a lot of conventions and hang their books up on the wall, after a while, what you notice is that some of these colors start to fade and they don't look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And since so many, and it's hard to tell when you look at a book that that's actually the case. But when you compare them to other books and you're filing stuff together, you can tell which ones really have the 100% cover gloss. Okay, so the cool thing is if you keep your comics cool, dry, and dark, they will stay in good shape. I see a lot of people having their comic books and they keep transferring from place to place. I don't know which year's comic book Overstreet price guy, but many years ago, Bob Overstreet himself wrote an article about any change in temperature, 22 degrees higher or lower will age a comic book 10 years.
Wow.
So a lot of people who have an environment that changes that drastically where they're storing their books will start to find some discoloration in their books, which is not a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Plus, my selection of Walt Disney's comics and stories, I don't have every single Walt Disney book, but I have 95 to 98% of every Disney comic ever made.
Wow.
I was very fortunate that I don't know what it is about the comic industry, but anytime I buy a big collection of something, an identical looking collection comes right after it. Wow. Like if somebody sells me a nice run of Superman, somebody else comes in with a bunch of Superman.
You know what? I talk about it all the time.
Let it know. I need Batmans. All right, but I'll buy everything.
Oh, it's great.
If they make it, I buy it.
So Rick, how is this room laid out then? Because you talked about the alphabet on I'll call it the giant walls.
Yeah. So right here, these are exactly alphabetical order. These are all the $10 to $75 books. Some might be $100 by now, but that's basically the way this is. And our best books are $100 and up book are in a separate warehouse.
Okay. All
They're
right.
off-site and climate control, no doors or windows, and it's in a big center where it's 600 square feet of my best books, and that's where I go and get some stuff sometimes when I do the big shows or something, or where I keep a lot of my private collection.
So at C2E2, you were telling me yesterday that you had a great experience there this year, and you told me about a couple of big books that you sold.
Yeah, I sold the Daredevil one, a Fantastic Four one, 2 Spider-Man ones, an Amazing Fantasy. So it shows that a lot of the big books are getting a lot of demand right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm so fussy with grading that a lot of times people will buy books and then they jack them up and they try and sell them. But I try not to hang on to things forever. Yeah. So this whole wall here, this is a non-Marvel wall up here. This is A to X. That's not quite 300 boxes, but it's close.
How many boxes would you say you have all together if you added up everything?
Well, the running joke is when people ask me how many comics I have, I tell them, oh, I got more than 1,000. And they go, really? Especially people that know nothing about the comic industry, but you know. Yeah. But I don't tell them it's over, you know, 1,000. But yeah. My guess is I have to have way over 1,000 comic boxes. Mm-hmm. It's probably in the 2,500 range. Yeah. Which is why it puts us over 500,000 books. Oh, but if you follow me back this way, where you didn't even see yesterday.
I mean, literally, guys, it just goes on and on in the most beautiful way. I can't even begin to describe it.
So this alphabet here is where you begin with the A's, and then from here it goes all the way around alphabetically, and these are all, this is a huge alphabet of stuff that was priced 10 years ago and we never bothered redoing them. And then this is where I'm supposed to have an office, but I can't find it yet. There's a desk in here somewhere.
Oh my goodness, you're right. I didn't find it. I thought for sure I saw this room yesterday, but no, I did not.
No, you didn't get back this far. So this is MD, which MD on the boxes stands for Marvel Dupes. Box 73, box 74, box 75. So you see 73, take 73 boxes to get the M. There's your Marvel team-ups.
And I see, of course, on
some Fantastic Fours over here.
Jeez. And on top, of course, is where you keep all your eggs. I see that.
Yeah, those are all action figures.
Oh my goodness.
So
incredible.
Now here's a run of Fantastic Fours, 117, 118, 119.
Oh my goodness. And you know, I'm big on the 20 centers right now, and that is just beautiful.
This run here is a run that I'm selling, which is number 26 all the way up.
So you're selling it as a group?
So I'm selling this one as a collection.
So all right, so then
I have other copies of these books, but you know, I mean there's your 45, 47. Wow. There's a 48.
Yeah.
49. There's your 50. 51. And yeah, there it is. There's the 52. Everybody's calling for the 52 and the 53 lately.
Yeah. So I got to ask then, that collection, what kind of dollar range is something like that run, Rick?
Well, you know, I had to put it together as a total price, but it's probably $5,000 will get you the whole collection.
Wow.
And impressive. The nice thing about it is that there used to be a place called Fannie Mae Candies.
Oh, yeah.
Grand in Harlem.
Yeah.
And a truck came by and splashed the windows. And I told the lady over there, someone's got to clean the windows. She goes, you want to clean them? And I said, sure. So what she told me was that if I cleaned the windows, I would get $2. And she goes, And then I did such a good job. She says, would you like to come back and do them again? I said, how about every Tuesday and Thursday? Every Tuesday and Thursday, the newsstand got the comics in, and he would put them underneath for me.
Wow.
So what I would do every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd have $2 to buy 12-cent comics. And what would I do? I would buy, like when Iron Man #1 came out, he got 16 copies in, I bought them all.
Wow.
Okay. So a lot of these came right off the newsstand without ever being marked or anything else. They came in beautiful condition. Look at how nice and white they are, front and back.
Wow.
You know, and that's so the person who sold me this collection back purchased a lot of my doubles many years ago. So he ended up with some really nice, vibrant books. But
incredible.
But like I tell people, it's, you know, if you buy what you like is when you never lose.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is, I got a lot. This is just the beginning of the iceberg. Besides the 2 warehouses, and next door to these 2 stores, I have one more. That one I gotta go outside and in. We didn't make a hole in the wall yet, but the landlord has given me permission to. I just haven't had the time, and if I knock down the wall, I'm gonna lose the space to walk through.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, maybe I don't mind having some place that I gotta go out and in for. But,
all right. Well, Rick, can we go see the 3rd building?
Well, only few people ever get to see it, but you're the lucky guy, Dave. Let's go.
All right, guys, here we go. I'm going to shut the camera, and then we'll add it back together later. I don't want anyone to see the secret entrance. All right, guys, so this is the outside of the double secret comic room. We're going to walk back in and find Rick in here. It's just, you know, I walk around here, and it's like I almost can't even believe it, how much. But I guess that's, you know, we talk about a lifetime of passion, a lifetime as a collector, and you know what, slow and steady over the years, you know, and that's why I love buying collections, is, you know, like Rick talks about, you never know really what you're going to get, but it's awesome stuff. Sorry about the flickering. One of the ballasts here might be bad, but that's okay. If this is less than presentable, I'll just edit some stuff and have some pictures. So, Rick, what am I looking at here? Rick must have went into another space. We'll catch up with him here in a minute. Again, I mean, stuff to the ceiling. It's just, I can't even imagine if I had access to this store on a regular basis. I could see just getting on a ladder and hitting box after box, just going through. Truly the history of comics is all right here. Okay, and then this is yet another space. And, you know, I think it's, you know, Rick does all the organizing by himself. He comes through, and I think that's why there's the multiple alphabets, is, you know, can you imagine trying to keep up with just one alphabet going all the time? I can't even imagine. Any of us who are like, oh, I got to get organized, I think Rick could do a seminar on how to keep up with it on this professional level.
I can do a nice seminar on how to be disorganized, according to my wife. But it's a never-ending task. You got to be patient, and you got to be thorough. The good thing is that I got a system of, I put together alphabets that are 36 boxes long, and I put them aside. When I get 2, I combine them to be 72. And then I take another 72 and combine them. That gives me the one around 150. And I do that twice, and then when I have 2 150s, I put them together. It's a 300-box alphabet. Then I stop.
Yeah.
Then I start to make another alphabet.
Yeah. And guys, that's, you know, when I'm going through my organization, it's been trial and error, but that's what I just discovered, right? How many times I said I'm just going to alphabetize the boxes, and then I'll blend them and shuffle them and blend them and shuffle them, and eventually you get there, right?
An easy route to do it if you don't have a lot of books is you separate everything before M and everything after M.
Ah.
Then you only put half together, and then you put the other half together.
Beautiful.
Or you can even take, once you go to 2 piles, you can make it into 4. But right now, you came in here, and what am I already doing? I'm already filing.
He's right at it, yep.
The goal is, if you pick up 5 comics at one time, when you put them down, they better be alphabetical. All my employees are trained. If you have anything in your hand, They got to be alphabetical. Here's some classic early Donald Ducks. Okay, these are from 1953, 153, 154, 155, 157. There's no 156 here. Uh-oh. Better figure out where that one went.
So let me ask you, Rick, my good friend Bad Avenger just asked me the other day. I do the same notation system. It looks shockingly similar to what I do on the back of my books. Have you ever heard, because someone just asked me, Bad Avenger asked, do you think introducing a foreign substance into the bag once it's locked up, do you think it would ever have an effect that the lead on the pencil or the ink would ever affect the book in any way? Or do you think as long as it's dark and cool?
I think it's dark and cool, it's fine. Yeah. I've experienced no problems. But if you put the bag and board backwards against the book, if the writing ends up touching the book, you can have the bleed.
It'll bleed.
The book,
yeah.
If you have any humidity or something.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Here's some nice Tales of Suspense. Always classic books. But every box I look at, I keep finding more classic books. They have multiple
And it's just
copies.
so many multiples, guys. Isn't this just the place, right?
But that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. I mean, because you never know what book is gonna go crazy in popularity someday.
So someone was showing off Whiplash just the other day. Maybe it was me. I don't even know who it was, but there's just multiples of everything in here. Mm-hmm. Just incredible.
And yeah, now with new Bendis Superman, will be interesting to see if we see any extra Superman action. Seems like there still are quite a few Superman collectors out there. Not as many as. It's not as popular as Batman by any means, but Batman and Spider-Man, I would think, are the two titles that are dominant in the superhero phase. But a lot of the non-superhero books, especially the war books, have gained a lot in demand and popularity over the years. And they're much more difficult to obtain because a lot of people weren't taking care of them or caring about them as much.
I was just talking the other day about, someone asked me, what do I see as a speculation? And in this year, I've really been focusing on war and Western and some of the monster and horror books. And it really is a pendulum, isn't it? That the country will move in swings.
Right.
And you're right. That stuff is kind of off the mark right now, but it's coming in.
And your Rights and stuff, and your House of Secrets, your House of Mysteries, your Strange Tales, and Tales of Suspense, and a lot of these really great things. I found myself rereading a lot of my old Tales of Suspense books, but I wasn't reading the Iron Mans. I was skipping right to the back to read the Ditko stuff.
See?
Okay, here's all the 3D books they recently came out with. Marvel pulled a real trick here, forcing retailers to buy way too many of them. They percentage based it, so you have to buy 200 to 300% of the regular, of how much you do on the regular title compared to the previous issue in order to qualify to buy as many of these as you want. So a small retailer only buys 10 copies of something, could have moved his number to 20 and then bought 100 variants. While a retailer who sells 100 or 200 copies of a book would have to double his order to 200 to 400 copies to even get one variant. So, as you know, a lot of the bigger retailers passed on it or were unable to get a lot of them. And I think the covers, I think they did a fantastic job, but it really didn't become some super hot, phenomenal fad.
Yeah.
But, that's why I say, buy what you like, the speculating. Leave the speculators to people that don't care about their money.
And we did talk about this one just recently, didn't we, guys? A lot of people didn't even know what that issue was, right? And there it is. He's got a couple of them right on the wall. Rick, I can't reach to put that one back up there. It's okay, I'll just set it.
Right there will be
We'll
fine.
just set it there.
Speaking of war books, there's some classic Sergeant Fury.
You have number 56 in there?
And this particular run, no.
No, okay, I'm looking for a clean 56.
But we might have one in the next door off, but this is always a classic.
Oh, look at that. King
This
size.
also gives you the... That was a nice one. That was where he lost. So, every time I see where Sergeant Fury lost his eye, I gotta say, wait, can I remember how that happened?
And inbox is just full of treasure, isn't it? how pretty that is, guys. Look at that book. Oh my goodness. All right, Rick, I think I have to buy that comic book. So consider that one sold. Let's take that. I got a couple other things I picked out up front, so I have to own that one now. Is that okay? I buy that one?
I think that's fine.
Okay, I'm buying that book, guys.
And yeah, the good thing about One Stop Comics, we're only closed 4 days a year. So I'm always here. I have people running the store quite often, and then I play with filing 24 hours a day.
And that's something, guys.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about your passion. Whatever you like, do it well.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy it. Comics is one of the greatest entertainment fields in the world. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of people in this world that have never even read a single comic book.
Isn't it incredible?
That's why when Free Comic Book Day comes by, I try to spend time to help people find a book they will enjoy. Because if someone just gives you a comic book and you don't like it, you might think, I don't like comics. When in reality, you just read the wrong comic. You ever go to a movie and see the wrong movie?
Yep.
Did you ever go to a restaurant and buy something and not like it because you ordered the wrong food? Well, it's the same thing with a comic book. There's a comic for everyone. You just got to find out what your one is.
True words of wisdom. Rick, thank you so much. I got to just say what a privilege it is taking your time. I know how busy you are, what a big store this is. And as soon as I called Rick on the phone, I was traveling on the Ohio Turnpike, and he said, well, come on in. He's so welcoming, so warm, and generous with his time. So thank you again, Rick, for walking us through. You got an incredible store here.
Very welcome.
And listen, guys, I showed his eBay, his online. I haven't gone on there, but I'm sure it's awesome. I will show a business card with Rick's phone number and information. I'll probably do a still shot, but if I can get it on there, that's it. Okay, and the phone number's on there and the address is on there. So show Rick some love. If you happen to come to Chicago, this place is worth the stop. Call ahead, and I'm sure Rick will show you around. And
we're actually in Oak Park, but we are 4 blocks from Chicago, so it's one light. Come to Chicago and love comics, and you don't go to One Stop Comics, well then, I'm sorry for you, because you missed a great opportunity to see tons of comics. I mean, I've been thinking of buying the rest of the building and making it a museum. Then I don't have to sell comics anymore. I just have to keep them all. Because I want everything. I want every comic ever made. So if you got a box that you don't want, or you got something laying around, I buy, I sell, I trade, but most importantly, I read and love comics.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. All right, YouTube. This is Silver Age Dave and Rick at One Stop Comics. I mean, one of the best stores I've been to. I hope you enjoyed the little tour, and with that, Silver is out.